Now I have to admit, there's a certain charm to living in a place where you need a snowmobile to check the mail.
What have you got there?
Look at this. Florida oranges and a snowmobile. I can't help but wonder if this is the first time these two items have ever crossed paths.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I opened them up and I ate one in the park.
You did. How were they?
Oh, juicy. Wonderful. Thank you, Alan, for sending these. These are gonna be...
We were waiting for those. What a treat. What a treat.
Now I've been kicking around the woods my entire life. I've always been doing stuff like this because stuff like this is what I've always wanted to do. Living life on someone else's terms just never made sense to me.
Heading back down into the valley. Gonna check on those cameras that we put out. They've been out a couple of weeks or better. The traveling's a bit harder now because we got more snow. We were walking without snowshoes last time. But we got a real cold snap coming, so I want to refresh the batteries and move some cameras around. Yeah. Hopefully we got some action. There's another tree that's going to be blocking the path here. Or the forest is just falling apart. And some weasel tracks again. The maples, as I've talked before, they get that flat fungus, and then the wood turns punky, and they just break off. And the forest is littered with falling over maples. Everywhere you look. The younger generation won't have maple trees at this rate. Won't have maple syrup either. Red squirrel's been busy here. Hey, been shelling pine cones. Oh yeah. Yeah. Having his meal. The moose have been busy. They're eating the bark. That one here too. Some more over here. Having a little tree jerky. Yeah. They like the maple and the basswood. Batteries are still good with that. I bet you there's action on a lot of these cameras, and it looks like down there's some tracks before the new snow. I can't tell if it's a moose or whatever because there's a lot of snow in it. But that's the first camera and there's going to be action on it. I'm going to walk through here. Yeah, I just love it out here.
Now I gotta make my way across this beaver dam. The ice is thin along the edge there, and I'm hoping these snowshoes will keep my feet from falling into the drink. So far, so good.
There's no fresh track right here, but there is there, and my camera was there. But right behind the camera, there's moose. Some fresh moose tracks here. There's some moose droppings there. And fresh moose right here. Up in here. My plan was to go way downstream and set up a bunch of cameras, but I don't think there's any need to go anywhere else. Yeah. I do enjoy the heck out of this.
I figured if I set up right here that I'll get some close-up footage of the moose when they return. And that's what I got. Yeah.
My pen is frozen. The wind is kicking up and the temperature's going down. Yeah.
I don't often know what day it is, but I do know where my cameras are. Gotta keep your priorities in line when you live out here.
Finally, some mink tracks coming up the channel. He goes in the water there, right there. And he came up here and he went in a hole under the ice there. I want to get one where that mink was, facing down the channel. Who knows if the mink will come back, but if the mink or the otter come through, I'd like to have a camera right there. Because the mink's the only thing I haven't gotten on a trail camera yet. I got bobcats, but not the footage I want. See what I can do.
If I don't have a tree where I want one to be, then I have to plant one, like this.
Not as stable as I'd like it to be, but best I can do. I don't want to get wet. I'm too far from the camp to go walking back with the wet feet. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras set up on this location. Got it for all species. You never know what you're going to get. This spot right here is one of my favorite places in the world. It's down in the valley. It's quite a trek from the camp. I've come down here all my life, and we used to camp down here quite a bit when I was younger. Yeah, we come down and spend a few days. It was just wonderful. But we trek down here at least once every winter. We'll be down here a lot though. I want to set up this whole creek with trail cams. Like to get the mink and the otter and stuff, I gotta have my cameras right down low pointing at a specific spot, but then it misses like when the moose go through. So gotta set a lot of cameras. It's all right though. Sometimes I get the good shots.
Now, I really enjoy running my trail cameras. Just watching the wildlife, going about their business when they're undisturbed by man. It's pretty cool. And it's kind of funny that everything that I observe flies in the face of everything that I've ever been taught about a lot of these species. The fisher in particular. The fisher is the most misunderstood animal in the forest. You know, all my life I was told how nasty they are. I've heard of deer hunters shooting them because they see a fisher and they go, oh, they're going to wipe out all the small game. If a hen house gets raided, they blame it on a fisher, so on and so forth. I was just talking about this on Patreon the other day because I was sharing some really cool fisher footage that I got recently. I got some really nice close-up footage of a fisher, and you can tell just by watching him how docile he is. He's just the opposite of everything that anyone has ever told me about them. So what I have learned from my own observations in many cases is just the opposite of everything that I've ever been taught. And it's not just about wildlife, it's about life in general. You know, all my life people have been telling me what to do, how to think, how to act,
They all wanted me to have that tunnel vision so I only can see down that narrow path, that one-way train from cradle to grave that I talked about in my old videos. You know, you see the Amish going down the road with the horse and buggies, and the horses have blinders on. Why do they put blinders on that horse, right? Why? The reason is they don't want the horse to see the countryside, see the other horses running around all free out in the meadow. They only want that horse to see where they are being led. Yeah. They tried to put the blinders on me when I was a little kid, and I wasn't buying into it. And because of that, I was labeled a misfit. When I was a little boy and they were trying to put the blinders on me, trying to make it so that I could only see in the direction where I was being led, it was a struggle. It was a struggle for them because, as a young child, I was very observant. And what I observed was all of the grown-ups all did the same thing. They all lived the same life. Now, they might have a different job and a different profession, and one might have a bigger house or a fancier car than the next guy. Really what it all boiled down to, they all did the same thing starting at 6 years old. They jumped on that one-way train in first grade, the Monday through Friday, 9 to 5-ish, right? And they did that all through their life. Most of them putting their hopes, wants, wishes, and desires on the back burner for when they retire. I've heard it over and over, and I still hear it today. People saying, when I retire, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I can't wait for retirement. But by the time that they reach retirement age, they've been on that one-way train for so long that they are afraid, literally afraid, to jump off, to jump the train. So they keep on working. And a lot of them keep working because those dreams that have been on the back burner, well, the burner has gone off. They have lost the flame. And they keep on working until they can no longer work, and now they're unable to, so then they finally retire, and they have a miserable retirement, and they go to their grave discontented. I have seen it over and over and over. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with working 9 to 5, but people will put words in my mouth. I'm not saying that. And everybody's life is different. Everybody is different. And for me, jumping on that one-way train and doing everything that everybody else was doing while leaving their dreams unfulfilled wasn't going to work for me. So I chose a different path. And I'm glad I did. I want to share just a little bit of a clip that I took a few days after I came home from the hospital. Most of you know that I had a really tough year. And when you're diagnosed with cancer, it really weighs on your brain, and you're shadowed under a dark cloud. And then I finally went in for the surgery, and I just had a lot of time to reflect on my past. And I want to just share a little bit of this clip. Now, when I filmed this, I wasn't intending on ever sharing it with the world. I had Lori set up the tripod. I filmed this. It was kind of a journal entry for me, but done in video format, because it was too uncomfortable for me after surgery to sit at my desk, and sitting in bed trying to write, well, it looked like hen scratch. So I just recorded my thoughts at the time. I'm going to share a little bit with you. Some will benefit from it. Others will balk at it. But I'm used to that. Whenever I talk philosophies, you get people that benefit and you get people that balk. And more times than not, the people that are balking at it are the ones that need it the most. Because they hear the words but miss the meaning behind it. So anyway, I'm going to share this with you. Less than 48 hours ago, I had an organ removed. So now I'm camped out in the room upstairs where I can be safe from the border collies. Because I have incisions in my abdomen and a tube sticking out of me, and if Crazy Tildy yanks the tube out or opens up an incision, I will certainly bleed out before I can get help. So I've been up here. I'm sequestered. I have my little walkie-talkie here so I can get Lori if I need something. Because it hurts sometimes to talk, especially if I wake up from sleeping from the breathing tube. And if I yell, it just sets Tildy off and she goes into a barking fit. What goes through her mind, I don't know. So, I know I look like shit, but trust me, I feel worse than I look. So anyway, I've been sleeping and meditating, and when I'm not doing either one of those, I've been reading. And what I've been reading is my life. I have stacks of journals right here. And I have a lot of them. So I've been reading my life, and it's been really profound, very moving experience. And because anyone who knows me throughout my life, or has known me throughout my life, I should say, has heard me say over and over and over and over that I'm going to do everything I can while I can do it, because I don't want to find myself on my deathbed someday looking back and going, I missed my chance. I can't do those things now. Why didn't I do it? And why didn't I do this? And why didn't I do that? I didn't want to find myself in that position. I sit here and I read my pages, I read my life, and all this freaking stuff that I did, and it was one dream conquered after another. And I used one dream as a stepping stone to move up to the next, and to the next, and to the next. So if I don't make it through the year, I mean, I don't have a death wish. I love life and I love it, but in some ways, and it's kind of ironic to say this as I'm sitting here in freaking pain, but I'm in the best position I've ever been in. And I mean that, because if I leave this earth, I'm going to leave very contented. And when I meet my maker, and maybe he has a checklist, and he goes, well, I gave you artistic talents, what did you do with it? Well, I became a professional artist, and I was the illustrator for this and that, and I competed with my art, and I competed until I won the Masters Division 3 times, and then I was at the top of the ladder where I wanted to be, and I quit. And I gave you desires and dreams, and what did you do with them? Well, I fulfilled them, all of them. I did it all. So hopefully the surgery did its job, and I can carry on. But if I don't, and I peter out, I don't know. I'm gonna leave this earth in a good place, because I frickin' did it all, man. And I can't help but wonder, I already know the answer to it, but really, where would I be now if I had done what I was told? A while ago, a friend of mine responded to one of my philosophical ramblings, and he typed out, "You have a food outlook on life." Of course, it was a typo, because he was intending on saying you have a good outlook on life, but the F and the G are side by side on the keyboard. All right? But in actuality, having a food outlook on life is very appropriate. And it's right in line with everything I've been talking about. Because I say I'm going to do everything while I can do it. And having a food outlook on life is like having a refrigerator full of food, and if you don't eat it, it's going to go bad, right? It's going to go to waste. So the moral of the story here, folks, is you got to suck it up before you exceed your sell-by date.
Frankie and the boss out walking in the woods, living life happy and free. Tracks in the snow everywhere they go, there's a pokey way up in that tree. A beaver built a pond where they have some fun, taking life a day at a time. Best friends until the end, Frankie and the boss, Frankie and the boss, Frankie and the boss.